When the first blurry photos of Ukraine's new cruise missile, codenamed Flamingo, appeared in mid-August, most observers thought it was just another experimental prototype. But the truth is far more significant. This weapon, developed by the Ukrainian company Firepoint, has already undergone successful trials with a confirmed range of 3,000 kilometers and the ability to carry more than 1 ton of explosives. For comparison, that is nearly double the warhead mass of Russia's Kaliber missile, and it places almost the entire European part of Russia, from Moscow to the Urals, within striking distance. This is FPV Explainer, where we break down the most fascinating stories in drone warfare. If you're enjoying this deep dive, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling us what topic you want to see next. Your feedback shapes our future videos and keeps us bringing you clear, detailed analysis from the front lines. What makes the Flamingo different is not just its destructive potential, but the timing of its reveal. Kyiv allowed these images to circulate right before critical negotiations with Western partners and Washington. It was a message, both to allies and to Moscow. Ukraine is no longer just defending itself with imported weapons, it is building a strategic arsenal of its own. And here is the irony: the missile's name. Early prototypes reportedly came out of the factory painted pink by mistake, and the nickname Flamingo stuck. But behind this almost playful name lies a weapon that could redefine the balance of power in the war. Next, we'll break down the technical specifications of Flamingo and why its design philosophy might be just as revolutionary as its range. At first glance, the Flamingo looks like a straightforward cruise missile, a sleek black fuselage, fixed wings about 6 meters wide, and a rear-mounted jet engine. But simplicity is its real strength. Unlike expensive Western designs such as the Tomahawk, Flamingo is built to be affordable, mass-producible, and effective in large numbers. Its launch mass is about 6 tons. The missile is boosted off the ground with solid rocket fuel and then transitions to a turbojet engine, both developed inside Ukraine. That means independence from foreign suppliers, a critical factor given Russia's attempts to cut Ukraine off from global supply chains. The warhead capacity is where it becomes a game changer. 1,000 to 1,150 kilograms of explosives. That's enough to take out entire military-industrial plants, airfields, or ammunitions depots in a single strike. And with a top speed near 900 kilometers per hour, it's fast enough to close distance before Russian defenses can fully react. The design philosophy is pragmatic. The missile doesn't rely on ultra-precise or expensive guidance systems. Instead, it combines GPS, inertial navigation, and autopilot. Against hardened military-industrial targets, sprawling factories, oil depots, air bases, this level of accuracy is more than sufficient. In other words, Flamingo isn't about one missile slipping past Moscow's air defenses. It's about dozens launched in waves, overwhelming radar coverage, and forcing Russia to burn through expensive interceptor missiles. That's where the true asymmetry lies. Next, we'll explore the strategic impact of Flamingo, which Russian regions fall inside its range, and why this could shake the very foundation of Putin's war machine. Range is everything in modern warfare. With the ability to fly 3,000 kilometers, Flamingo doesn't just threaten Russian frontline logistics, it brings the heart of Russia into play. From launch positions inside Ukraine, these missiles can reach Moscow, St. Petersburg, the Urals, and even deep into Tatarstan, where Russia produces Shahed drones and other key weapon systems. Consider the geography. Kyiv to Moscow is only 750 kilometers. The distance from Kharkiv to the Izhevsk Kupol factory, where Russian air defense systems are built, is about 1,300 kilometers. The production site in Yelabuga, where Shaheds roll off the assembly line, lies just 1,400 kilometers away, all well within Flamingo's strike zone. This radically shifts the psychological and operational balance. Until now, Putin has been able to shield his core cities from destruction, letting Muscovites live as if the war is far away. Flamingo makes that illusion impossible. Suddenly, 90% of Russia's military-industrial base is exposed. Even if Russian air defenses can intercept some missiles, the economics are brutal. Flamingo is designed to be relatively cheap, while the S-400 interceptors used against it cost millions of dollars each. In a war of attrition, that imbalance matters. And that's not just a tactical threat, it's a political one. Once the war touches Russia's privileged centers, once factories and oil depots burn in the Russian heartland, the domestic support base for Putin's war could begin to crack. But technology alone doesn't win wars. Next, we need to ask, can Ukraine actually produce Flamingo in numbers large enough to overwhelm Russia's defenses? A missile is only as powerful as the numbers behind it. A single Flamingo can threaten, but dozens launched together can overwhelm even Russia's best air defenses. That's why production scale matters more than individual performance. Ukraine's defense company Firepoint has already moved part of its production to Denmark, near the Skredstrup airbase, where F-16s are stationed. This isn't just symbolic. It guarantees stable fuel manufacturing for Flamingo far from Russian strikes. Denmark has backed the project with hundreds of millions in support, showing that Kiev's partners see Flamingo as a game-changer worth investing in. Ukrainian engineers have already handed over the first 1,000 units of smaller FPV drones made entirely from local components. Now, the same industrial base is being adapted for long-range weapons. Experts estimate that if funding holds, Ukraine could reach dozens of Flamingos per month by early 2026. That's the threshold where massed salvos become possible. But there's another factor: cost. Flamingo is designed to be simpler and cheaper than Western equivalents like Tomahawk. Reports suggest it can deliver a larger warhead for a fraction of the price. That affordability allows Ukraine to deploy them not as rare silver bullets, but as repeatable, strategic strikes across Russia's vast industrial landscape. Still, scaling production is a race against time. Every month lost to bureaucracy or supply bottlenecks is a month Russia can reinforce its defenses. Which raises the ultimate question: when Flamingos are finally fielded in large numbers, how exactly will they change the battlefield? If Flamingo delivers as promised, it could redraw the map of the war. With a 3,000-kilometer reach and a warhead of over a ton, Ukraine would no longer be confined to targeting Russian forces near the front lines. Instead, it could hit the very heart of Russia's war machine: factories in Tatarstan that assemble Shahed drones, missile plants in Izhevsk, or even naval shipyards on the Black Sea. Suddenly, Putin's rear areas would no longer be safe. For Moscow, that changes the calculus. Right now, the Kremlin counts on the sheer depth of Russian territory as its shield. But when strikes can reach from Moscow to the Urals, the psychological balance shifts. Russians who once saw the war as distant may feel it at their doorstep. That is exactly how strategic weapons force adversaries to the negotiating table, not by defeating armies outright, but by undermining the illusion of sanctuary. Politically, Flamingo also sends a message: Ukraine is no longer just defending, it is building its own advanced arsenal, independent of Western stockpiles. That independence matters. It shows allies that their investment produces results, and it shows adversaries that Ukraine can sustain a long war on its own terms. But the ultimate consequence will depend on scale. One Flamingo is a headline. 50 launched in a coordinated strike could overwhelm defenses and permanently cripple parts of Russia's defense industry. The question is not whether the missile works. Tests suggest it does. But how fast Ukraine can field enough of them to tip the balance. And that's where the story continues. Will Flamingo remain a symbol of potential, or become the weapon that forces Russia into a defensive war it cannot sustain?